Well, it's 9:30. We're ready to begin our webinar titled Pivoting Your Business During the Pandemic. Before I introduce our guest expert, let me remind you this webinar is a presentation of the Community Economic Development Fund in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm Frederick Welk, a business advisor for CEDF clients. The Community Economic Development Fund is a nonprofit organization which provides enterprises in Connecticut with term loans, lines of credit, and commercial mortgages when they can't get traditional bank financing. We welcome our webinar participants who include CEDF clients and business owners from across Connecticut. For practicality and to improve the program quality, we're muting the lines of everyone tuned in. If you develop questions, please use the raise your hand or Q&A buttons on the bottom of your screen and our presenter will recognize you at an appropriate moment. The presentation is being recorded and CEDF will make the program available on our website in the coming days. That's at cedf.com/recorded presentations. Businesses have been forced to implement innovative strategies to provide their products and services and stay engaged with their business communities. This can be especially challenging with limited funding, resources, and opportunities. Samantha Williams, who serves as entrepreneur in residence for the New Haven Free Public Library, will share practical changes you can make to stay connected with your customers while social distancing. Sammy Williams is a content strategist with over 20 years of writing experience. She founded Sam's Word, LLC in 2015 with the goal of alleviating the writing burden of others. Writing has been a natural passion for Sammy, and she leverages those skills through the facilitation of business development, marketing, and communications workshops. When Sammy's not providing training to other businesses, she assists businesses with content development, editing, proofreading, copywriting, and more. Sammy joins us today from her office in New Haven. Welcome, Sammy Williams.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks again for having me. We're going to talk about pivoting your business during this pandemic that we're going through. Everyone right now is in some kind of pivot. Everyone I know, and I'm sure all of you joining are in a pivot also. If you joined any of my webinars or presentations before, you know I like to make them interactive, so please throw your questions or comments in the chat or take yourself off of mute if you have something you want to share and just chime in with us. But I put together these 4 steps that we're going to go through. I usually like to start with a little bio slide. So what Fred mentioned, I am the president and CEO of Sam's Word. I'm also the current entrepreneur in residence at the New Haven Free Public Library. Come check me out virtually now. So on the top right are some of the types of writing I do. That list continues to grow. And on the bottom left are some of these professional development webinars and presentations that I've been doing. And as you see, I've added this one to the list, Pivoting Your Business During COVID-19. So we're going to get started and talk about the year of the pivot. 2020 has definitely thrown some different expectations our way. Now we have the murder hornets that are coming, that are here. So, you know, we don't know what June is going to bring. May brought the murder hornets, and we'll see what happens in June. Hopefully we all survive. We're calling it the year of the pivot because everyone, children included now, are pivoting themselves, their schooling. Small businesses and large businesses are pivoting how we run and how we're going to continue running our businesses. And so when Fred asked me to put this together, I thought it was important to really think about what small business owners need to do if they're going to see their business stay alive in 2021, right? If they're going to get past this pandemic, what exactly do they need to do? What should they be thinking about? Okay, and again, we have some new people who joined. Feel free to come off of mute and ask your questions or share your comments. Throw them in the chat also. So when you think about pivoting your business, you know, if you want to survive, these are some things you have to think about. You have to innovate, right? You can't remain stagnant and expect your business to grow and develop and get through this. You have to learn to start thinking more creatively, right? Because you want those people who want your products and service, first you need to let them know that you're still here, or you have pivoted to a new business model, right? So you start thinking about ways and things that you need to do to keep your business afloat, especially if you're struggling financially right now. We have programs and financial incentives in place to help small business owners. And there's a lot of small businesses that are really struggling right now. So when you're thinking about keeping your business afloat, what can you do? You have to start thinking outside of the box. You can't just be comfortable with what you have been doing in status quo, because you may not be able to do that right now. Then you have to be willing to embrace and adapt to change, right? Change is going to happen. Change is always happening. But if you're running away from change, it's not going to help you elevate your business to where it needs to be so it can withstand this current pandemic. But you can try to find some good in the pandemic, right? What can your business now do? What market can it now reach over into to try to have some good come out of this pandemic? To see your business grow right now, there's a lot of people implementing long-lasting changes in their business. So they know that this wasn't something that they would normally do, but this current situation has drove them to finally, implement new strategies and new ways of managing their business, serving their customers, providing new or continuing their products and services. Okay, and that can drive lasting change. There's lots of businesses who now just have a new business model. They have new revenue streams, new products and services that they're offering because they were forced to think differently about the people they serve and the products and services they provide. Any questions? So then you may be even thinking, why the need to pivot? If you're thinking that, I don't know if you've been watching the news, but there are people who may not consider the need to pivot and say, I want to remain where I am doing what I've been doing, and I'll wait for the economy to recover. Well, some reasons you need to pivot are here, right? It's not business as usual. What was true in January is not true right now. And what's true right now is not going to be the same in August. So you have to learn to be constantly pivoting. Right now, we're talking about, if you're in Connecticut, we're talking about reopening the state. And even when those businesses start to reopen, the way that they did business is not going to be how they did it in January. And then in August, how they're doing business may shift depending on where we are at that stage of the pandemic. All right. So you also want to think about remaining current and relevant. I keep hearing businesses, other small business owners saying, you have to stay top of mind, right? When this is all over, when we get past this again and we start to go back to a little bit of business as usual, your customers and clients are going to be thinking about the people who were there, who were present during the pandemic. So if you think it's best to just lay low and stay quiet and not cause any attention or post anything on social media because your business may not be open right now, they're still watching that. They're watching you stay quiet. They're watching to see how you're going to handle it and how you're going to position your company. Okay, so you have to remain constant during the pandemic, whether you're open or closed. If you have a reduced staff, if you have reduced hours, you have to stay constant because we're going to get through this. And when we do, people are going to go with the people that the companies and businesses that they saw during the pandemic, because you start to build trust and credibility, right? You think about your business continuity, right? Remaining constant is part of your business continuity plan. It also shows that you're innovative, you're adaptive, and you can grow. And these are all important elements that you need in your business in going into 2021. We have a raised hand, I believe. No? Okay. So I'll keep going. And you also, like I said, you want to maintain some sense of income, right? Right now, there's a lot of struggling businesses who don't have income coming in as normal, and they may be waiting for some of the stimulus packages from the government. So if you're able to think of a way to drive income into your business to keep paying your bills, to keep paying employees, this is what you need to be doing. And again, that could begin driving your business expansion and growth. You don't know where this pandemic could lead you to. But when you do that, it helps you have a differentiator in the market. you're showing up and you're setting yourself aside from your competitors who are just not doing anything. All right. So even if I see we have a family dental practice on the webinar. So if you have a dental practice, maybe you don't have the full range of services that you were providing before. But what tips and strategies can you provide on social media? What email newsletters can you send out? What reminders can you be sharing, right? So it's all about using those social media platforms to show your level of expertise and gain the trust of the people who are watching you. So we go into the first step. So we have 4 steps, right? You want to identify what has changed, okay? And that's what's going to have to be pivoted in some way. So identify what's changed in the current marketplace, in the current world of where we are. Restaurants, right? Even when they start to reopen on the 20th, it's at a reduced opening plan. So it's only going to be restaurants who have outdoor space. Bars are still going to be closed, right? So you have to consider, what is that need? Is there a need in the restaurant space? What about the events and social gathering space, right? That's a huge area where people are still struggling. Those businesses are struggling and trying to figure out how can they pivot when they can't gather with more than 5 people. We have schools from daycare all the way up to college and PhD level that are now virtual and they're all online. So if you're offering online schooling, what impact does that have for those families? I can tell you, because I have a 6-year-old coworker who may be busting through that door any minute, and then I'm going to have to pivot in some way, right? So what need can you serve for those schools or for those families that are impacted? Outside is virtually closed, right? So think of all the activities and fun and programs that were happening outside. And when you're thinking about pivoting your business, start thinking about how you can potentially say, well, we can't do that anymore. Let's see how I can do it in a modified way within my current business model. And then we have the gyms and fitness programs. Right now, they're virtually everything online. Yoga, I use the Fit On app, which has lots of online workouts on there. So, when you're thinking about pivoting, you have to see what's in this space that needs to be changed. And then what can you do in your business and with your skill set to help drive that change? Okay, so then we go to step 2. Now you identify what needs to be pivoted. You need to start thinking about how you can fill a need and adding value. So we have the delivery services. We have I'm a huge fan of Uber Eats, right? They come to my house all the time. But then what about dry cleaning services? Delivering prescriptions, especially for the disabled or the elderly. Or you have families with 2, 3, 4 children. You can't really bring the children into the stores with you. So there's a need there also. We do have the grocery delivery services, but as we know, if you try to use them, a lot of these grocery delivery services are booked up for the next 2 months. You can't even get an appointment to have someone deliver your groceries. What about a bakery service? So you have delivery of groceries, but what about bakeries? And I only thought about it because my husband's birthday is next Tuesday and I need a cake. So now I'm looking for a bakery that's open, and then a bakery that's open and doing non-contact pickup, or if they're delivering. I can't find a bakery that's delivering. If you know one, let me know. Wine and liquor. There are some liquor stores and wine shops that are doing delivery, and some are doing it for a lot of the shipping and delivery costs is more than the bottles you're buying. So think about, can you enter the market in that way, right? Mail pickup and delivery. And I think about it again because I have a post office box. But since the pandemic, I've been out of the house twice in 7 weeks. Me and my 6-year-old coworker, we're having lots of fun over here, right? So if I had someone who could go pick up my mail from the P.O. box, that would be great for me. I would pay someone to do that. So look at these delivery service categories. Is there a way you can expand your business or start a new one to provide these delivery services for those who are in need? And then dependent and pet care. Again, virtual babysitting and tutors. Thankfully, these things do exist. I have my son set up with tutoring through New Haven Reads that just started last week. But a virtual babysitter, if I could get a virtual babysitter, I'd be golden. And they're out there, there are services, and they're pretty affordable too, right? So is that a market that you can jump into? What about a dog walker or a mobile pet groomer? If you have a vet business already, this is something that you can easily transfer into, and then maybe keep that as part of your business model when the economy starts to recover and the pandemic starts to go away. And then we have some mobile services. You have the car wash and car details. I'm here, come wash my car, you know, I'm available. The oil changes. The one time I did drive my car, it told me I need an oil change. I don't know how, I haven't been driving it, right? So think about that in the mobile space. If you're a technician, how can you expand your line of business to now incorporate some of these virtual and come to you type business models? And then supplying necessary items. We know the PPE, the personal protective equipment, there's been a shortage, and then them shipping it over from China, they're getting stopped at the docks. There's all kinds of issues. So if you can be a supplier of masks, gloves, and disinfectant wipes, you're already going to have income coming into your business. I have a slide later on with some of the people I know who have been pivoting their businesses, and one of them is now supplying the PPE, and it's been very, very lucrative for her, okay? So any questions? Again, you could come off of mute and share your stories, ask any questions, throw it in the chat. So this is when we get into being the leaders of change, right? Because like I said, everyone is watching. They're going to say, where was Sammy during the pandemic? I didn't hear nothing from her at all. I'm also the president of the Collaboration of Minority Women Professionals, and we usually meet the last Friday of every month. We haven't met since February because of all this. And I said to my co-founders, we need to have a webinar, start doing webinars so that we are here. They know, our members and our community know we're here and we have a presence still, right? We don't want them to feel like we abandoned them. And so we just hosted our first webinar last Friday, and we'll do more. And that's all because you don't want to be forgotten. What's out of sight is out of mind. And when we get past this, you don't want people to forget that you run your business, that you provide these products and services. So to stay top of mind, you have to start thinking more creatively about your product offering, okay? And that may mean getting into new markets. It may mean learning new skills. The state of Connecticut just opened up a brand new website for people who were impacted, where they can go take classes for free and learn new skills so that when everything recovers, they are now a competitor in the employment market, right? So you want to be a change agent. And one way you want to do that is by step number 3, innovate. So on the top left, I have my friend Claudia. She owns Artisan Tile in Guilford. But through her shop, her mom is starting to make masks. And that's something that's needed right now. So for only $10 a mask, you can go to Claudia's shop and pick up or purchase the mask that her mom is making. And so I love this example because 1, you're working with your family, but then 2, her mother is making money bringing people into her shop. So it's still showing people in the community that Claudia is still open, her business is there, and she's thinking about giving back to the community in some way and providing supplies that everyone needs. Everyone needs masks right now. On the bottom right is a milk and dairy farm here in Connecticut, and they're still doing home deliveries. Remember the milkman? I can't say remember, I was not born when the milkman was around, but years ago, the milkman used to come around. And so a lot of farms nowadays are starting to go back to that business model. And there are farms who have always had that business model, and they've continued business deliveries. I have friends in the New England area, I believe New Hampshire, who told me there's a couple of farms who have always delivered milk and dairy products. But now if these farms want to stay relevant, if they want to keep producing, selling the products that they're producing, then they need to find a way, they need to innovate and find a way to get these products to the people who need it the most. So now we have milk and dairy delivery. And me as an introvert, I like this model because why should I have to go out if they can just bring it to me? So I'm okay with that. Okay, any questions? You guys are a quiet bunch. This is my quietest webinar so far. So then I have some examples of the people in my circle that are being change agents. So we have Dree Eaton, who is the owner of Printabilities. So Dree usually runs a promotional product company, and you know, t-shirts, pens, promos that you want to give out to your community as marketing tools. So she's now distributing, she's the one I was telling you about earlier, she's now distributing face shields, face masks, and hand sanitizers. And she has them from inventory from 1 to thousands, right? And that's also serving a need because a lot of the companies who have shifted to providing the PPE and these different products are only selling in bulk. So I've seen a lot of emails come out and they say, we have masks available, and the masks look good. They look like a decent price, maybe $3 to $5, but you have to buy 5,000 of them. What am I doing with 5,000 face masks, right? So understanding that, she's able to shift her model a little bit, which allows her to have a differentiator in that market by saying, I'm going to supply from 1 up. So yes, you can order 1 to 5 masks. You can order 10 masks if you need. And then you're not having to pay for 5,000 masks. So she is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and her contact information is here on the slide. And then we have Mary O'Neill. She runs Get Your Bingo On, and that is an in-person bingo fundraiser event that she usually does. So when I started putting together this deck, Mary was the first one who popped in my mind because she immediately shifted, she pivoted her business model to now host virtual bingo fundraisers. This is the first time I've ever heard of virtual bingo. And I was like, how do you do that? But it's working. And she has an event coming up, I believe, next week, right? So if you're thinking about events and fundraisers, there's lots of virtual birthday parties that are happening right now. Start getting creative, right? How can you still have these events and celebrate these moments while social distancing, right? So that's Mary's information. Contact her if you or someone you know needs a virtual bingo game, because who doesn't need that now? And then we have Jennifer. Jennifer is located in Woodbridge, and she's the owner of Much Needed Wellness Therapies. And I know Jennifer because through my collaboration, we were going to do a membership drive the last week of April, which evidently didn't happen. And Jennifer was going to provide massage and Reiki services during the membership drive. So she usually runs her shop, but now what she started doing was creating a YouTube channel with her friend. And together they're promoting personal growth. They're sharing Reiki practices. And one of the main things she's focusing on is adding value. So she's really shifting from being a service-based industry to make income, whereas she's focusing on adding value and teaching. So I go back to the dental practice, right? It's going to be virtually impossible to bill for practices right now. But if you can gain the trust of the community and those who have not become patients yet, then that's how you can be a change agent during this time. And when we open back up, you'll be one of the first people they call because they trust you now, okay? And there was another person I chatted with this week who told me they are also focusing on driving value and not focused on income. They understand that in the economy right now, a lot of people just don't have that disposable income they used to have. So instead of pushing the selling of products and services, they're pushing their knowledge, and that's how you get people to become attracted to your brand, because they trust you, right? So the money will come eventually, but it's always good to think about adding value, sharing your expertise and your wisdom. Okay. If people trust you, they'll come. So even if they don't have the disposable income right now, it's important for you to continue your social media, your emails that are going out, so that when we recover, you're going to be top of mind. So we have Patrina Dixon. She was the owner of It's My Money Journal. And what she focuses on is breaking that paycheck to paycheck cycle. And she usually does that with one-on-one consultations and talking to people, going out and hosting workshops like I used to do before webinars. And so she shifted that. So now she's facilitating the virtual financial workshops. Okay, so she already had a Facebook group and an online social media presence. And what she's doing is now pivoting and using that. She's leveraging the audience she already had on social media and now marketing her services in that regard. Okay. Any questions? No questions? Throw them in chat. So Jeff has a question. Jeffrey Moore: as educators are transitioning to online teaching, how can we bridge the language barrier, as not everyone in virtual classrooms speak Spanish and Chinese? And that is a good question. One, because I've never heard your question before, so I'm just thinking of that as we're going through it. I think about marketing, if for the bilingual people, for the people who speak these languages. I think it would be good if they could market themselves to the school districts, to the public, private, and parochial schools as an in-class interpreter. My son is in online class right now. Well, got 3 minutes, then we'll see what happens. He's in online class right now, and anyone can join. So if they have an interpreter who's available, they can have that person also join the Zoom room or the Google Meets, whatever it may be, and start to help assist the kids that way. But it's difficult, again, because everything's virtual. So that translator can't be one-on-one with the child. The other thing the schools can do is hire those interpreters, those translators, and have the child have their classrooms with that person who speaks their language. So like a trained teacher or tutor for that particular child. Does that answer your question? Okay. So then Kathy Taylor. Kathy Taylor, I don't know personally, but what I did was put a call out. Thanks, Jeff. I put a call out on social media, and I said, for my small business owners, let me know how you've pivoted your business. Kathy is one who responded. So she's based in New Hampshire. She owns the Hidden Studio, which is a lifestyle boutique. So she is a owner of a yoga studio. So I talked about how the online classes are emerging and really revving up for yoga, for Pilates, for workouts, and that's what she's doing. But what she's also doing is leveraging her social media, and she opened a Facebook shop. So she can sell her yoga gear, she calls it, her clothes, in that Facebook shop. And then Carla. So Carla is based in Boston, and I love her attitude and her spunk. So she teaches, she's a makeup artist, and she primarily works with brides. So she's teaching brides how to do their own makeup, because people are still getting married during the pandemic. So, and they're doing virtual bridal showers and things like that. So Carla is teaching people how to do, the brides, how to do their own makeup so that they can still be beautiful on their special day. Randy Renee is an independent contractor. She's based here in New Haven, Connecticut, and she teaches diversity, equity, and inclusion. So she can no longer host her in-person trainings and professional development courses. So what she's doing is she shifted to an online training model, and she's also starting a wellness series that comes out next Tuesday. So Tuesday, May 12th, look out for her. These are all her social media information where you can contact her. And we are visited by my 6-year-old coworker. So we have Debbie Malowicki, and Debbie is also based here in New Haven. She owns Integrity First, which is a learning and support solutions company. And so they usually typically provide in-person coaching for college prep, testing, and they do personal development and training. So what Debbie has done is transition her business, because everything is online. So she has an interactive and online platform where she's offering tutoring, ESL. So Jeff, you talked about the kids who speak different languages, and also professional development services. So Jeff, if you know someone in particular, I would recommend reaching out to Debbie and her team and see how you can connect them. I know you're a big connector too, so you can put them together. And then we have Diane Robinson and Sharon, and they own a shop in Guilford where they primarily sell products that are made in the USA. That's what they do. And they don't have a website. So while they're in the middle of building their website, they are now selling all their products through their Facebook page. So they have the business Facebook page set up, and they're leveraging Facebook to make sure they have some kind of income coming in, because that's what it comes down to at this point. How can I get more income? Any questions? So that takes us to our final step, step 4. We understand what needs to be pivoted. We identify what we can do. We analyze the market, but now it's time to execute. There's nothing worse than doing all this research and not following through and executing. So we understand that we have to create solutions. We don't want to just create and put out products and services because we think it's good. We're serving a need, right? So we're assessing what's currently happening. We're looking at the current situation. We're looking at all those different areas of the economy that we're forced to pivot, and we'll be pivoting for a long time. And when we think about how those organizations are pivoting, yes, you can have a snap. We're also thinking about the gaps, right? Because there are going to be gaps. We don't know what's going to come between now and the end of the year. We're expecting a second wave of the coronavirus. So understanding what happened when the country first shut down, and understanding how that's going to play out again, potentially in the fall. Look for those gaps. Look for the areas that's not being filled, because that's where you can fit in. You want to serve a need. We looked at the different industries, the schools, the delivery services, the mobile services. Think about your skills and your abilities. Put together some pricing for it, because we still are in a place where we need to make money, and start repackaging, rethinking your product and service offering. And that may be a little difficult for your current clients and your current customers who are used to you doing and saying one or two things. And now you're going to be offering something completely different or adding it into your business model. So that's a part of your communication, right? You want to make sure you're clear in explaining, this is what I'm now offering, this is the price, and this is why I'm doing it. Okay, and we have Dawn. Oh, you like Renee? She did trainings and workshops, trying to not only do live programs, but also online courses via Teachable. Teachable is a very, very good program. You go do courses. So if you have a curriculum of information that you want to teach and share, Teachable is a great platform from that. But I have no idea how to monetize faster than my learning curve. That's the issue, right? Because there is a piece of research and learning that you have to go through. I would say leverage what you had in place while you're going through your learning curve, because you can't really speak on it until you complete that curve, right? I'm also researching how to do live storytelling and parent support. That's good for kids who are at home. You saw my coworker. Parents who are trying to work and support their schooling. Hi, we should talk. But also not certain how to monetize an offer, which I need to do before Facebook ads. Any thoughts on how to do that? So you're talking about providing some kind of assistance virtually to the children who are home to support the parents who are homeschooling and working. I believe I read that right. So I can be your first client. But I think you have to show your value, right? This is what I want to do. This is how parents are struggling. This is what parents need. Parents, I can help you with this. Is your child in need of that, right? And then you start to think of your pricing plan. How are you going to develop a pricing structure for that? What is it worth to the parents? When I looked at the virtual babysitting, I saw, I think at most like $30 an hour. And I was like, $30 an hour, if I do like 2 hours back to back, that's 60 hours. But you know how much, $60, but you know how much work I can get done in those 2 hours that he's completely preoccupied with something else. So show how you can add value and your worth. I would say focus on that. And let me know if that helps. And then we have a Q&A. Hi, Pam. I miss Pam. I used to do workshops at the library too. Do you have the link for the classes the state is offering? Yes. My son gave me a paper. I won't write it on that. So Pam, I'm writing a note to send you the link to the classes. I get an email from my alderman every morning or evening, basically a daily wrap up of what's happening. And in that email, he shared the link, and I'm also on David Lehman's email list. He works with Governor Lamont in some capacity, but he also responds to emails. I've emailed David Lehman, and he's responded right back. And the email from David Lehman this morning also listed that link. I have it up on my computer, but I haven't looked at it at all yet, so I can't speak to it in any way. But yes, I can send that to you. Okay. Make sure I answer all the questions. So you want to reposition what you're going to be shifting your business to with your existing clients. Your new clients won't know any different. They'll just know Sammy owns Sam's Word and she's now baking bread, right? They don't know. But the existing clients will be very confused. So you want to make sure that you're communicating that with them. Okay. Dawn, continue. Collaborative storytelling, creating stories together with children via Zoom for creative interactive play and offering a print out to color in with the story later. Oh yeah, you get the email. Then add them, you get the email, then you add them to your email list. And when we talk about communicating, that's your email newsletter that's going out. To give 15 to 30 minutes apiece for parents in creative play. As a parent, I would say, can you extend that? Can it be 30 minutes to an hour of peace? I thought Zoom for 10 to 12 kids from 5 to 10-year-olds, and vetted a few trials, but do not know how to monetize this offer or the pricing. For you, Dawn, we may need to connect further. As the entrepreneur in residence at the New Haven Free Public Library, I offer consultations, office hours for entrepreneurs and small business owners who have questions about running or creating a business. So connect with me so I can give you the Calendly link to schedule a call. She continued, as opposed to offering my how to write and publish books for would-be writers, my most popular workshops. Okay, so that's how you're shifting. So you see the need. So you usually offer how to write books and how to publish books for people who want to write books. Those are your workshops. So you see a need that parents need help with their kids, like my coworker, right? And I think it's a great pivot because it's a real need, as you can see. So I think this is a great model that you have in place. I will sign up. I have other parents who I know need this service right now. And I think it's about, one, considering, are you going to be paying for Zoom? So you want to make sure your costs, your business costs, are included in your pricing, right? So are you going to pay for Zoom? How much can families afford? Are you going to do, what about families with multiple kids of different ages? Are you going to do sessions with them together? Is it going to cost more to have 2 kids join versus just 1? Is it going to cost more to have 4 kids in one house versus 2? You want to think about that. I would also consider the tutoring, right? So you talk about Zoom and being on with the kids. The parents are struggling because we're not teachers. So we have to not only work and make sure they get their work done, but we also have to teach. So if there's some way to, like I said, do the tutoring in one-on-one sessions or a group session for like he's in first grade. So first graders, third graders, fifth graders, whatever it may be. And then you can offer, this is the time of year where fifth graders are all learning about whatever, right? So I'm going to do a 30-minute Zoom call to teach your kids everything they need to know about this subject for only whatever it may be, $20, $40. But you have to find that sweet spot with the pricing, which is always difficult to do. Improv storytelling off the cuff isn't easy, so even 20 minutes is tricky, but I can push it to 30. Yeah, that, when you say the improv and storytelling, that reminds me of the virtual babysitter company that is, I think they're based in New York, and what they have done is hired the actors from Broadway, because that's what they do, and who doesn't like a good show? So the actors come in and they put on like a 30-minute show, a 20-minute show for the kids, and they do some role playing and interactive video type things with the kids. So you're not a tutor or a teacher, you're a writer, speaker, or entertainer. But I would think about shifting that, unless you want to do writing strategies for elementary, middle school, and high school. You have to think about leveraging your skills. So in elementary school, are you going to teach kids how to write letters? That's something my son was doing last week. I had to teach him how to format and write a regular letter to someone. What was his teacher? But this is your salutation, the date goes here, this is the body of the letter, this is how you put your name at the bottom, kind of thing. And then as they get older, maybe you're teaching middle school kids how to write a paper for school, a research paper, how to do research, how to, what is considered credible and non-credible research. So think about how you can leverage those skills. Entertainment, there's always something. There was a company I know who, I forget what her original company was, but for Easter, she was doing in-person Easter bunny things. So she would come and plant the Easter eggs in the yard, and the kids can watch the Easter bunny from the window. And then so that's how she shifted her model a little bit, so that at least during Easter she was able to make some money, and it wasn't too expensive. I think it was like $40 or $50 she did per house, and she comes around, and when she leaves, the kids then can do the Easter egg hunt, right? So like I said, being innovative about your business model and your skills and abilities, and using that, leverage those skills into the market where there are gaps and there's a need for it. But yeah, whatever you plan on doing with the kids, holla at me. And then once you're done, right, now you've got it all laid out, and this can't take a lot of time, because businesses are going to reopen. They're starting, wait, hold on, let me write down your email. Businesses are going to start reopening May 20th, right? So you do have a little bit of time to hurry up and get something rolling. You don't need to do a lot of, this is not the time where you do a lot of research and get your business financials together and all that. You see what's happening, you feel the need, and you execute, okay? If that's not working, you go back, you execute something else. See what people want, see what you can do. That's how you find the sweet spot when you think about the Venn diagram. What people want, what you can do, what people are going to pay for, and do it. Or if it's a service-based or a nonprofit, if you're really feeling a need, if you can find a way to distribute some of those gloves and masks that everyone needs, then I would recommend doing that. And then when you're done, you can host a virtual pivot party on Zoom, why not? And you can have all your people come to support you. You can bring together your current clients and customers that you have, your new clients and customers, have them share that link out with some promotional information, 10% off if you sign up or whatever it's going to be, get people in, and then you can celebrate all together in your virtual pivot party, because I think we're going to be doing virtual parties for a long time. Any questions? Yes, pay it forward and share info. Always, always pay it forward, okay? And if you're on, Sammy has a personal email networking list that I send information to, right? So I never know who can use the information I'm sharing, but I share it on, okay? It may not be useful to me, but maybe somebody else needs it. Share that information, okay? I'm pretty sure the people on my email list get a little annoyed because here comes Sammy with 5 emails per day, but you never know who can use that information. Yes, you never know who is the perfect matchup. Dawn, you should come off of mute and talk to me. But yes, and Jeffrey is on. Jeffrey is a huge networker, right? He gets people together. So that's somebody that you want to connect to so that you plant a seed and Jeffrey will take that back and find somebody to water it for you, right? So you want to be a networker, you want to be a connector, you want to give people the information, right? So like Pam, I'm going to send you the information about the classes, the free classes that people can take through the state, okay? And I think that's important. I hosted a workshop last week on updating your resume and LinkedIn during the pandemic, right? Because we're going to get past this too. And I tell them, use this time to research organizations, see who you want to work for, and develop new skills. Sign up for certification programs, right? Complete classes. You never know where those classes, oh, thank you. So Dawn put the link in for the Metrics Learning. That is the organization hosting the free classes through the state. Who was the woman offering wellness classes next week? I'm a registered dietitian and would like to see if she would like some help. All right, that is from Lisa. So Lisa, let me go back through my slide deck. Is this her? Or maybe, I think it was Jennifer. Was it Jennifer you're looking at? No. Okay, let me go back. This must be her. The free virtual yoga. So it must be Randy. Randy, okay. So Randy is doing the, she does the online diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Can we place our, yes, everyone, please put your contact information in the chat and send lists to each other through email. Jeffrey was on my call last week when I highlighted, I copied and pasted everything from the chat and shifted it over to email. Yes, yes, you can have an apple, wash it off. So before we leave, I'll do the same thing. I'll copy and paste the information from the chat and send an email. So if we're gonna do that, put your name, your company, your email address, and your phone number, and your product or service that you offer in the chat, and I will copy and send that over to everyone. You will only get it if your email address is in the chat. If you don't put your email address in the chat, I can't send it to you. So even if you don't have a product or service, but you want this information, put your email in the chat and I can send it over to everyone. You are welcome, Lisa. So Lisa, put your information in the chat. And I know Randy personally, so, oh, Fred is gonna send me everybody's information. I know Randy personally, so if you connect with me, I can connect you with Randy personally, okay? And then, so we're having our pivot party, and we're gonna start this or roll over into this new business, okay? And while we're doing that, I'm gonna put my information too. Okay, and then that's it. So then we come to the, once I can click on the screen again, we come to the Q&A portion. So are there any more questions or comments? Remember, put your information in the chat and you will get this information. Lisa, I need to connect you with Randy. I'm making a note. You're welcome. And if there are no other questions or comments, I gotta go teach now. Okay.
We appreciate your time, Sammy, today, while you had school duties also.
It doesn't stop.
And we certainly appreciate your time helping our small business owners understand how they can pivot their businesses to stay connected with their customers. If they have more questions develop in the future, how can they contact you at the library for your library advisory hours?
So if you go to the New Haven Free Public Library website, you want to go to the I've Squared. I think it has locations. Go to the I've Squared section, and you'll have the links to schedule business consultations, office hours. Those are Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays is 2 to 4. Thursdays is 4 to 6. And the Calendly is set up for a half hour. If you feel like you need more than a half hour, you can just schedule consecutive appointments. So 2 to 2:30 and then 2:30 to 3 o'clock. And then I'm also hosting weekly presentations through the library on different topics for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I have guest speakers coming in every week. And I think I may have 1 or 2 slots in June to fill. So if you have a presentation for small business owners, please contact me and I can get you on our schedule also. And then my information, I put it in the chat there, writers@samsword.com to contact me. Thanks, Nicola. Glad you joined.
Thank you again, Sammy. As a reminder, this webinar was a presentation of the Community Economic Development Fund in Meriden, Connecticut. For the 7th year in a row, we're Connecticut's top SBA microlender. We make business term loans at very nominal interest rates, as small as a few $1,000s, and larger business loans too, from a pool of loan capital provided by many of the state's leading banks. There are geographic and/or income qualification requirements for the borrowers. You can find, excuse me, allergies are beginning already this May. You can find out more about all of this at cedf.com. We've recorded this presentation. We're going to make it available in the coming days. Look under the Education tab at cedf.com/recorded presentations. I'm Frederick Welk, and we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Fred. See everyone later.